On Capitol Hill. 100 days of President Trump, meantime, Trump 2.0. We're talking a lot about it today, and there's so much to get into as we wait for the president this afternoon in Michigan, including, of course, foreign policy. He promised to end the war in Ukraine, said he would do it before he even took office. Obviously, that has not happened. Let's bring Ambassador John Bolton into the conversation as a former national security advisor in Trump's first administration, and, of course, the former U.S. ambassador to the United Nations as well. Big picture foreign policy these 100 days, but we always ask questions like this. Coming in versus your expectations, has Trump kind of underperformed, outperformed, been about as you expected on foreign policy?
Well, I think it's the first 100 days have been marked by confusion and disarray and caused real harm to America's reputation around the world. I think the tariffs have been a big part of it. They are a form of economic illiteracy, and it's ripped apart relationships we've had with friends and allies that have been building for decades. I think, as you mentioned, the policy on Ukraine turned out to be, as they say in Texas, all hat and no cattle. A lot of rhetoric about resolving the war in Ukraine, but failing even to get a ceasefire. And I think in a number of other areas around the world, a lot of the rhetoric that we saw during the campaign has been exposed as just that. There's still more to come because a lot of the grades, in fairness, are incomplete at this point.
So before, I want to ask you specifically about Ukraine in a moment, but on tariffs, that you brought that up and mentioned it as a foreign policy issue. Talk about that a little bit more if you can. What's the impact been in terms of geopolitics in your view on from the tariffs?
Well, there are so many different now for the tariffs it's hard to discern. But let's just take one of them, which is some countries have tariff rates on the import of American products that are unfair. And many of these countries that are being complained about are American friends. Mm-hmm. So that's a problem for the United States. It's legitimate to raise it as an issue. How do you solve a problem like that? Do you normally take your friends out in public and slap them, demean them, deride them? Or do you say, we've got an issue here, let's sit down and talk about it, and then if you can't get satisfaction, then maybe you resort to tariffs. We have, with China, the most malign actor, the worst actor in international trade. I'd be up for taking action against them, maybe tariffs, maybe others. But you know how you conduct a trade war? Not too much different than a real war. You get your allies together who have also been victimized by China and say, let's do this together to maximize the chance of getting China to change behavior. Instead, we've declared war on the whole world. What this does, this has an obvious economic effect. People will talk about it for a long time. But what it also does is erode decades of effort to build trust, goodwill, good faith between the United States and its friends and its allies, and it's being shredded right now. We'll get it back, but we're going to take a long time to do it.
Now, speaking of real wars, which you mentioned, let's talk about Ukraine. So the latest out of the administration on Ukraine and negotiations for a potential ceasefire and the like came from the State Department a few minutes ago. Here's what the spokesperson over there, Tammy Bruce, just said. Take a listen.
We are now at a time where concrete proposals need to be delivered by the two parties on how to end this conflict. How we proceed from here is a decision that belongs now to the president. If there is not progress, we will step back as mediators in this process.
Okay, there's a lot of questions could be asked out of there, but I'll start with her last point. What if we did step back, as has been threatened just there and by Secretary Rubio?
Well, I don't think much would change because I think 100 days of effort haven't produced anything. And the way that's phrased, it says, particularly the Russian side, Trump isn't getting success here. His attention span is short. He's going to move on to something else. I think that suits Putin just fine.
So some would say that if we did walk away, well, I guess it depends what we do, Ambassador Bolton, when we walk away, right? If we're going to continue to supply weapons to Ukraine or we're not. I'm not sure exactly what the White House means by that, saying, hey, we want to wash our hands of this if it doesn't work out.
Well, that's a critical point. I mean, ostensibly, it sounds like they're washing their hands of trying to get a ceasefire. But if the next step is to say, we're not going to supply weapons and ammunition, we're not going to supply intelligence, this would be a real blow to Ukraine. And I'm afraid that's the direction they're moving in. This is what Trump has been saying for some time. I think he has been clear he believes he's friends with Vladimir Putin. He does not have a good personal relationship with Volodymyr Zelensky. And for Trump, the personal relationship is more important than the strategic analysis.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.